Do you have an interest in how and the why of airplane crashes? Well, then you've probably watched Blancolirio on YouTube. Today we have Juan Brown in the hangar.
Welcome to In the Hangar. I'm Christy Wong.
And I'm Dan Milliken. This episode of In the Hangar is sponsored by Wingfield Aviation, a trusted and transparent source for your airplane maintenance, and Flying Eyes sunglasses. Christy and I both love our Flying Eyes.
Today, we're on location here at Stearman Field in Benton, Kansas. So if you hear airplanes in the background, we are like 100 feet away from the runway. Well, today we are here with the one and only Blancolirio. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Good to have you here, Juan.
Thanks, Dan.
So your channel has just exploded, especially as of late. And but your channel's been around a long time. Yeah. Tell us the history of Blancolirio.
12 years ago, my wife got onto YouTube. My wife, Jenny, she's from Spain. And so in order for her to comment on YouTube, she had to create her own channel. So she just dreamed up the name Blancolirio or White Lily.
Yeah, White Lily in Spanish. Okay.
And she just made that up. And then I started posting on her YouTube channel in an effort to try to remain anonymous from my work at the airlines. And I started posting things I was interested in outside of aviation, like motorcycle videos and the CB500X and the conversions we were doing to it and some of the adventures we were having on it. And that got the subscribership up to maybe 3,000 or 4,000 subscribers. Then one day the spillway at Orville failed. And
because you live in Northern California.
And I live right there. I'm within 30 miles of all that. And right away, the news media got it all wrong. They didn't know the difference between a dam or a spillway. And then all the conspiracy kooks started taking over on the YouTube. So I jumped up on there. Sound familiar? And so I jumped in there with the mighty Luscombe and my little GoPro camera that I was familiar with using on motorcycle adventures. And I just stuck the little camera outside of the window of the aircraft, flew over the disaster as it was unfolding, brought that footage home, did a little simple voiceover explaining to folks what was going on at Orville, and that thing just took off. 500,000 views right away. And thousands of comments and questions. And I thought, oh man, I gotta stick with this because people really want to know what's going on, and they like the straightforward approach of just the facts. And so I stuck with that story for 2 years, from the complete emergency, recovery, and rebuilding of the Orville spillway, and that jumped the subscribers numbers up to about, well, over 50,000, 50,000 subscribers.
So at this point, it's too late to just like start your own YouTube channel and call it like
call it what I wanted, yeah,
or
and
whatever.
So as the rest of they say is history, as far as the name Blancolirio goes, it's too late to change it. I don't really know how to change it, and it's become a thing. People are looking for this search term, Blancolirio. So okay, got to roll with it. All right. And then then people started wanting to know more about the mighty Luscombe, and so we started talking about that. Then they found out you're an airline pilot. Tell us more about that. Well, I was reluctant to do that because it started to sound too much like work. But I did.
Well, and also, did you have any issues with the airline that you work for, like getting upset at your videos?
Yeah, no issues. We'll let the Lockheed go by here.
That is the Lockheed Electra, the 12A, taking off. So.
Yeah, giving rides.
So they were okay with you doing your YouTube channel?
Right. And then questions started coming up about airplane crashes. And so I started talking about that, and all of a sudden the whole thing took off again. And then that's brought it up to 100,000 subscribers, and now over 200,000 subscribers, talking about airplane crashes from a pilot's perspective with just the facts that we know them so far.
That's something that really differentiates you, is that you stick to just the facts. This is what happened. This is what the NTSB has said, et cetera, et cetera. You really don't interject your own personal opinions into those.
And if I do, I try to break them out as such, or I'll say this is what investigators will be looking for.
Right.
In this particular accident.
Well, and I think that that's a really key differentiating point because you know, when you got a lot of people get flamed on social media for presenting their opinions and speculation on a recent crash, and they just get hammered. And I remember that I was, you know, Christy and I, for fans who know, we have long before either one of us were pilots, we have a fascination with airplane crashes.
It's a learning experience is what it is. What happened so that we can try to not repeat it, you know?
So when I just happened to be looking at, there was a crash that had recently happened. I wanted to know more about it. I found your channel. And also noted, I found it because of social media. Social media was flaming this person and that person for speculating and, hey, we don't know the facts, wait for the NTSB and all this kind of stuff. But somebody else said, this guy has the goods and this guy can tell you. And so I went to the channel and you were the nuts and bolts, the mechanics of how and why this happened. There was no speculation. You weren't, Monday morning armchair quarterbacking or anything like that. You were simply explaining it to us from an airline pilot's point of view. And I think that's what really differentiated you. You didn't go into opinion. And hats off.
And it's kind of changing the way we view these things. It's been kind of taboo to talk about accidents until the final NTSB report is out. Right. Well, as you know, that NTSB report can take a year to a year and a half to come out. And there's a lot of information we're learning as things unfold in real time that we can start talking about right away and get that information out there in a factual format so that we can understand this accident as the investigation unfolds.
Well, and I think too, people just want to know. It's human nature to want to know and understand these things, whether you're a pilot, aviation enthusiast, passenger, whatever. Oh my goodness, these airliners, they're designed to not crash or not fail. This one crashed or failed. What happened? Yeah. So I think it's wonderful. I mean, I go to your channel personally when I want the facts and I don't want to read the NTSB report myself. So thank you.
Well, because the NTSB report is still 12 months out.
Yeah. Right. Well, yeah. I mean, even just the initial findings and stuff, he takes it and he breaks it down. He says, this is what I just watched the one on the Pakistan incident. So
big disaster.
Big,
It's going to be a big, big story and hopefully change aviation as we know it in Pakistan, which has been struggling for years.
In what way and why?
The culture of aviation safety, standard procedures, crew resource management, the things that we take for granted here in the States that are not being properly implemented evenly around the world. And so it's a deep cultural management issue that's coming to a head in Pakistan, and hopefully this time they will be able to change things. Fine, the people deserve it. I mean, it's not an even level of safety as you travel around the world, and that's kind of been taboo to talk about as well. But it's the facts, and so we got to talk about it and help bring everybody up eventually to the same level of safety and uniformity around the world.
Would you say that the FAA here in the United States is the gold standard for training around the world?
That it has been for many, many years, but now we've seen the 737 MAX story unfold, and that's opened up a can of worms with regulation here in the States. And so, but basically, in the past, when the FAA approved something, generally regulators around the world went along with it. That's changing. And so other regulators around the world are taking a more of a leadership role in the aviation safety management in their local region.
You think it's a good thing or a bad thing?
It's a good thing.
I think it needs to be a collaboration. Yeah. I mean, that's just my personal opinion, but I mean, to me, it's a good idea. It's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a global aviation community now, and you can certainly see that here on social media. It's changing the way we do aviation safety all around the world.
That's great. Yeah. So what's next for you?
I'm on a big old motorcycle ride. We came out here 3,500 miles, 16 days on this adventure ride, taking the Trans-American Trail out to this event. And then we're going to kind of go back along the Trans-American Trail back to home, and that'll probably take another 15 days or so. So that's the next big thing. It's a bucket list, once a lifetime trip. And then my personal situation, as you know, and this will be... I think this will be the ongoing theme. Returning to work after a long absence from a medical situation. I've been off of work for over a year now And I've just got the letter of approval from the FAA to get a special issuance for my medical to return to work. So the following series of videos will probably be what it's like to go back to work after a long time off and getting back in the saddle. As you know, flying is a very perishable sport, as that the skills that you need deteriorate quickly if you are not doing your job on a regular basis or flying on a regular basis. So
Have you been able to fly at all during this last year?
Yeah, very little, but I just can't fly as pilot in command. So I got the mighty Luscombe, and it's kind of it's a real drag not to just be able to jump in your airplane by yourself and go flying. And instead, you got to find somebody else to go flying with you. And
So more motorcycles as of late.
yeah, so I've been doing more of that. So the objective is to get back home in one piece so I can continue my flying career.
Awesome.
Okay, so looking back at your channel, what video of yours stands out the most in your mind?
Jeez, I don't know. There's so many of them. There's just...
Okay, the biggest surprise.
Well, the one that took off the channel, the life-changing one was probably that first one on Orville with 500,000 views and all the comments and questions, and that put me to work nearly full-time on YouTube, that one video on Orville. Yeah. And then there's been dozens and dozens since then, and I can't think of one that's surprised me any more than the other, but it's been a real fun trip putting all these together. What I do struggle with is as a YouTube content creator, what should we do with our channel? Once you get 100,000, 200,000 subscribers, do you become a caricature of yourself? Do you just stick to one niche and run that niche? I've always wanted to run this program or this channel showing of all the things I'm interested in. And so how do now I'm deep into aviation accident reporting, but now I want to go do a big, long adventure motorcycle ride. How do I bring that content on board without alienating a bunch of folks? And well, I'm just going to do it anyway. So I'm just going to bring it on board and see how it goes and carry on with it. And I'm not clear as to whether should I break it up into 2 channels or just keep it all on one channel. And for now, I think just keep it all on one channel.
Yeah, I've heard conflicting reports from other content creators. Some have gone and just added that new direction on their channel. It's their brand. It's what they're doing. And then others have created new channels. Bobby White, Sailing Doodles, created Flying Doodles, a separate channel. So I think there's good and bad for each, I guess. I don't know. It'll be interesting if you keep it Blancolirio for like the motorcycle and stuff and the new stuff that you might be doing. It'll be interesting to see what happens to your audience and whether they embrace that or not.
Right. Yep.
What advice would you have for any other startup YouTubers that want to bring this kind of content forward?
You got to stick with it. It's just a matter of persistence and getting the content consistently out there. It becomes a full-time job. Ad revenue at YouTube is not what you expect it to be. You need other forms of revenue. I've started with Patreon, and Patreon for me has worked out very well, where folks can subscribe or contribute or donate, and that'll even out your revenue stream, because YouTube ad revenue is all over the map. You might have a big video in a big month, but the next month, nearly nothing. And the controversial subject material that I cover specifically on airplane crashes is considered sad content, not eligible for monetization at YouTube. So as such, for example, the Pakistan, and here's some of the most important aviation stuff we're getting out there, changing aviation around the world, and it's not monetized. It's not able to be monetized by YouTube. Okay, so you don't get the ad revenue, that's one thing, but more importantly, the information does not get spread around as much by YouTube. So if there's no money in it for YouTube, they're not going to spread it around. Yep. And so it has to get spread around more organically.
Yeah, I was surprised by that. We did early on an episode of In the Hangar we did on air traffic controllers who were working the day of 9/11 and what it was like working the radars and the scopes on that day. And I posted that video, and YouTube slapped a non-monetization on it. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Why?
I didn't understand why. I still don't really understand why.
Content. It's events that involve tragic loss of life is not suitable for all advertisers. Is the way that they list that. So that's that. That's just a limitation of YouTube.
Yeah.
Even though major media can do it, it's a matter of sheer volume on YouTube. There's so much content uploaded every day. There's no way that the folks at YouTube can keep up with it. They got their algorithms that automatically demonetize you. Then you request a human review. That can take a day or so.
And by then you've lost, 50,000 views. And
You know how a video
yeah, it's all front loaded.
Yeah, yep. All the popularities of the first 12 to 24 hours. And then it tails right off. And that's why, if you want to be a YouTube content creator, you got to keep feeding the machine, shoving the coal to the fire, man, because it just goes like this with every video.
Yeah, you can't do a handful of videos over a year. It's not going to do anything.
Yeah, and I've never really found the magic secret to creating an evergreen video that just lasts forever. Maybe one or two out of the 1,000 videos I've done can be considered that category.
All right. Well, as the planes fire up out there, Juan, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Thanks.
We've enjoyed your company too. It's been
Yeah.
a lot of fun.
Yeah. We can get out there and check out all the airplanes and all the nerdy details.
There you go.
Yeah. So we are nerding out here at the ACCAs with all the planes, and we'll be bringing you more in the hangars in the following weeks that are recorded right here at Stearman Field. Christy, it was so great having Juan on today.
It was. If you like what you see, like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you next time.
In the hangar.
See you here.